guys, and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Ashley with Ashley Nicole Photography, and today we're going to be talking about an RF lens. I recently got the Canon R6. I'm looking at it right now. I am enjoying filming on it and taking photos with it, but today we're going to talk about an RF lens. I wanted to get a native lens for this camera, but I couldn't buy the camera and an L lens all at once, so I bought the 85mm macro f2.0, and I'm sending this back. Put it back in here. I'm gonna go drop this off at the UPS store now. I am returning this lens. So this video is basically just to tell you my thoughts on this lens and explain why I'm not keeping it. All right, so I did a few tests with this lens. When I first got it, I took a few shots around the house with it, and I just wasn't impressed. Still getting used to the camera, so I gave it about a week of trying it out, and here are my issues with it. One, the focus on it is not very quick, and it's loud. A lot of macro lenses have an issue with trying to fish for that focus because they have a focusing distance really close to the lens to really far. So I understand that. I know that there's a switch on it that you can restrict which focusing distance it needs to stay in, but I don't ever use that on my current macro lens. I just don't. The lens is not the quickest at focusing. I had a lot of issues with it when I'm close to something focusing. I did take it out and took a few portraits with it, and it actually performed very well, but I just wasn't so impressed with it that I wanted to keep it. So I'm going to be throwing in some test shots in here, and my reason for purchasing this particular lens is because my favorite lens to shoot with is my 100mm macro. That's what I shoot portraits with, and I wanted a native lens that would kind of be equivalent to that for me to replace that lens while shooting. And I wanted one with a control ring on it. And at the time, I could not find an adapter with a control ring. And when you have the R6, you want to use that control ring. I love having that extra control. I use it for my Kelvin adjustments, so I can adjust everything that I need to take a photo. I was able to get a third-party adapter with a control ring, so I can now use my 100mm on this and use all the functions that I would like. So I've kind of put them side by side, tested those two out together. I definitely still prefer shooting with my 100mm macro. I just find that it's accurate. I'm used to the focus on it. It will fish for focus, but mostly only when I am shooting something up close and macro. So I'm going to show you a few test shots of the 85mm f2.0, and then I do have a Canon 85mm 1.8 with the adapter. So I'm going to show you some samples of both of those lenses. For a brand new RF lens, I expected it to be sharper and better than the previous 85 because that is a very old lens. And I just didn't see much difference to keep the lens. Comparing those two 85s, again, I'm going to be showing you samples here. I haven't found that it's any sharper. Again, this is all on the R6 body, so using that old 85 lens on the R6. And then I also compared its macro abilities to my 100mm macro because I use it for portraits, but I also use it for macro shots. So we're going to actually go to the computer now, and I'm going to attempt to screen record my Lightroom and talk you through, get close, and do some pixel peeping and see if there's any difference, if one of them's better than the other. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so when you crop in at 100%, there's not a whole lot of difference. Let me look. I think they're both at f2.2. Honestly, straight out of the camera, they look pretty much identical. All right, so now I'm going to go on to macro shots. Okay, so this is with the 85 macro, and this is with my 100mm macro. When you compare these side by side, they are very, very similar. One of the differences between these two is the 100 you can get a lot closer. So here's one. It is a more zoomed in focal length, but I think the minimum focusing distance on it is a little bit closer as well. But again, this is straight out of the camera. I think that they look very, very similar. Let's go ahead and zoom in even further. So the 100mm is here on the right, and this is the 85. There's a little bit of chromatic aberration going on in the 85, and the 100mm is a little bit sharper. But even like this little piece of lint, you can see it a lot sharper on the 100mm. So there's that. Let's go ahead and go to the others. Testing photos. This is the new 85 here. Let me go to the old 85. So on the left we have the new 85 macro, and on the right we have the old Canon 85 1.8. So Again, I'm not seeing like a ton of difference. Let's zoom in even closer on her eyes. Obviously we are super, super close to her face right now, and there's not really a need to zoom in this far. I mean, we all do it, but it looks like the old 85 is easily just as sharp, if not sharper, than the new 85 2.0. So I'm just not seeing any reason to justify keeping this lens when I have this focal length, and I mean the one I have is even a wider f-stop, so I don't really see a reason to keep this lens now that I have the adapter with the control ring. That was my main thing, is I wanted to have that control ring. So yeah, let's look at a few more. These are shots with the new 85, and don't get me wrong, it is a sharp lens. Like, that is really, really sharp, but the focusing, I'm going to put in a clip also of the sound it makes. I don't know why, but the sound of it trying to fishing for that focus just drives me crazy. It takes a great portrait. So I'm not saying this is an awful lens. I'm just saying I'm not keeping it because I don't have a need for it. Yeah, it's not good enough for me to keep with what I already own. I hope that makes sense. All right, back to you in the studio, Ashley. All right, so the bottom line is I am returning this lens. I'm gonna go take it to the UPS store right now, but that's gonna be it for now, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button to see future videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Focus. I prefer quite a bit more, I prefer words. All right, so the 100mm. Here, you want my glasses? Okay, I'll wear them. Thank you. Why do I sound like an idiot when I'm trying to talk photography? I know this stuff. I can talk makeup, and I know nothing, but I sound like I do.